Good morning, everybody. I'm Rick Garcia, and you're listening to 98.1 FM, 1220 AM. And we took a whole hour here. We blocked out an hour worth of time at this radio station for a local sports hero. We're so thrilled to have Trenton Irwin, who's a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. By the way, they just played in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you know that out there. Listen, you think everybody knows that by now?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Patrick is here with us, too.
Hey-o.
Trenton, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Hey, great to be on here. Thanks for having me.
We wanted to talk to you. It's part of a kind of an honor and tribute to a local sports star. But you're going to be giving back to the community this weekend here in Santa Clarita. And we wanted to tell folks about that. You have a football camp, and it's a really cool setup. And we're so excited that you're doing that. But I want the folks to get a chance to know you a little bit first. So is that okay with you?
That sounds great.
In fact, we're going to find out things about you that your family doesn't know about you today.
All right.
All right. You look nervous all of a sudden.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, you can trust me. You're in good hands. All right. So we got to start with last month. I mean, you're in the biggest game that any professional athlete can ever play in, the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 56. You're there on the field at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. The ball's kicked off. What was that like? Were you soaking it in, or were you just so caught up in the game itself?
Yeah, so the week leading up to it, everyone was asking, like, how is it? And it just felt like another week. You know, we were just out there performing, but it was at kickoff when it felt real there.
Yeah.
You know, they had the whole stands there, whole teams. You know, it was pretty incredible.
Now, I mentioned a local sports hero because you played at Hart High School in the Santa Clarita Valley. There you are. You probably had childhood dreams of, we all had the childhood dreams. We go in the backyard, you swing the bat, and you imagine hitting the game-winning home run, the walk-off home run, or catching a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And there you are, man, looking around and people screaming. And were you kind of blown away by that?
It definitely hit at that point. I had my family up in row like 13, so that was unbelievable. They were on the 30, 40-yard line. I could see them there, and it was surreal in that moment, and it's still sort of sitting with me, though, because it didn't end how we wanted it to, but that just feeds the next season. So.
Sure. That's something to motivate you going into the next season. We're talking with Trenton Irwin, who a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and also a Hart High graduate and played for Stanford as well. Okay, you weren't on the I guess it's considered the active roster for that game. And we explain how active rosters work, who gets to suit up and who doesn't.
Yeah, so active roster is 53. There's 53 on the active roster. There's 46 that dress up on game day. So do your math there. That's 7 that are not dressed up on game day.
And so you were one of them that didn't dress on game day. Going into a game each week, do you pretty much have a sense who's going to be active and who isn't? At what point did they tell you? Have there been last-minute moments where you're like, hey, Trenton, you're going to be playing?
Oh, there's been last-minute moments for sure. I mean, for me this last year, I was between inactive and active all year long. So, like, half the year I was active, dressed up, suit, and half the year I was sort of waiting. And there were plenty of weeks when a guy might be hurt, might be, not able to play. And there's times I'm just walking by my locker looking to see if there's a jersey on my path because that's my key. I'm like, well, I got a jersey. I'm out there. And if not, then, just got to feel it out. So that was a little bit of a mental tease in the sense that, obviously you got to be prepared every week. But you got to prepare like you're playing, and you don't know until you turn the corner for me that year.
I don't think people really understand how stressful that part of it is am I going to walk in one day and they're going to say, hey, coach wants to see you? Oh, what does that mean? Does that mean I'm playing? Does it mean I'm cut? What is that? So every week you have to, it's week to week, right?
Yes. There's those times you get the coach wants to see you. That's usually after camp, or there's other times where that's never a good sign, really.
What's a practice squad? Tell us what
practice squad. So practice squad, a lot of those guys, I'd say there's about 15 on practice squad. And they get elevated week to week or based off injury. So they can get elevated. With COVID, they can get elevated a couple times without any penalty where they just activated for game day and then back to practice squad. Most of the time they give, like, scout reps. I've been on and off the practice squad the last few years before that. So it's, you're right there close to one injury to maybe playing a little bit and getting an opportunity. But it's just sort of they like you, but they want to keep you, on the team.
Keep you around. Kind of reminds me of well, never mind. I was going to talk about dating for a minute. Waiting around for that phone call, I guess is what I'm getting at. The anxiousness of wondering, if you're going to still be part of this team. All right, so back to the Super Bowl itself. What do you think of SoFi?
SoFi was unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Yes,
isn't it?
I mean, I heard it was $5 billion or something, some big
It
number.
kept
I don't
creeping
know
up.
how
it
that
started
even,
off at 3, and I think they finished at 5. But I saw it from just a fan's perspective. Sitting in the seats, walking around the stadium is amazing. How about inside in the bowels of this incredible venue? What's it like from a player's standpoint?
I mean, it was pretty surreal. We had a little walkthrough through there just to look at like all the logos, the painting, and all that before the game, a couple days before. And that was pretty dope. Also, at halftime, I didn't hear anything. Everyone was talking about, like, the performance or anything. I don't know how they did it, but I didn't hear nothing from inside the locker room. There was no sound.
Do you normally hear what's going on at halftime in the locker room sometimes?
So usually there's not too much happening at halftime in our experiences. I think we'll have people, with cheerleaders doing stuff or whatever have it, but we don't really have a halftime show. So I honestly expected to hear the performance because everyone was raving about it, but I didn't hear nothing.
You, by the way, we're talking with Trenton Irwin. He's a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Also played his high school days in Southern California at Hart High School. Went to Stanford. He's got a football camp going on this weekend that you should be part of. And if you've ever dreamed about being around NFL players and want to do that out here, we'll tell you all about that a little bit further into the interview. You were an undrafted free agent in 2019, signed by the Miami Dolphins. Explain being drafted versus being an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, so drafted, usually the difference between like a 6th, 7th round draft pick and undrafted is not that much other than a little bit of signing bonus. But if you're drafted in like the first 5 rounds, they've pretty much invested in you. You're going to be there. You're guaranteed to sort of have an opportunity. And if you don't make your plays with those opportunities, then you're out. But undrafted, you come in there and now you're not expected to make the team. It's sort of one of those things. There's a couple that do, but a lot of those guys you end up not seeing again or don't get another opportunity. So for me, I was in Miami. I actually tore my MCL the last game at Stanford, so I was in a knee brace most of the time in Miami. And it was a grind. It was a grind trying to find out your place, figure out where you fit, and figure out if you belong type of thing, because that's your thing. It's the next step, see if you belong.
Anything significant for you about the date December 27th, 2020? Does December 27th, 2020 mean anything to you?
December 27th, 2020. I don't know if I'm a great person with dates. What's that date mean?
I think that was the first NFL reception of your career.
Yes.
You don't remember that?
I don't have it down on stats as that date.
That's a huge deal.
That's huge.
I mean, because you can always tell the grandkids, I played in the NFL. I caught a ball, right? I mean, and you didn't ask for the ball. You didn't do nothing like that.
No, I did not. I just tried to help the team there.
I love that. Now later on, you're going to regret that someday.
Probably so. First touchdown, I'm definitely going to keep that. So.
Here's another catch, and I think this was against. And you're welcome to correct us if we're not right about this. This is against the Miami Dolphins. Let's listen.
Could be a sneaky third down weapon as the season goes. And Nick Needham on the other side has had a tremendous training camp.
With the play fake, Allen throws, finds his man inside the 35-yard line. That is Trenton Irwin.
See, right in between 3 defenders. And how about Irwin? He knows he's going to get rocked by Nick Needham.
Yeah, so that's a catch against the team that originally signed you and then eventually cuts you. A 23-yard reception. Do you remember that play?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, you got hit pretty good too, right? I mean, that's the thing about the position you play as a wide receiver is how vulnerable you are, and they hit you pretty good on that play.
They did. That was actually my dude, Nick Needham. So he was there with me as an undrafted free agent at Miami. I talked about him there, but I teased him after he hit me, so we were chit-chatting there.
They hit a little harder than they did at Hart High School in Santa Clarita?
Very much so.
Yeah.
They're a little different size.
Listen, we're talking to Trenton Irwin, a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, also played at Hart High School. We're going to get into your college career at Stanford and, of course, your glory days at Hart High School when we come back. More with Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Trenton Irwin, and you're listening to 98.1 FM. AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to KHTS. I'm Rick Garcia. We have Trenton Irwin as our guest, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. He also played at Hart High School and Stanford. Where did Mom and Dad come up with Trenton? Is there a story behind your name?
Yeah, I don't think there's a huge story, but my dad, Trenton, New Jersey.
I was going to say, I didn't want to insult you by saying, there's a town in New Jersey called Trenton, but that's where he came up with that.
100%.
That's awesome. And did you always like it, or were you like my kids? They never liked their names, and they were. You're welcome to change it someday.
I'm good with it. I'm 100% good with it. I don't know anything else. So.
Okay, you're low maintenance, I can tell.
Oh, easy.
Are you? Yeah?
100%.
Okay. We talked about getting to the NFL, but the journey included a stop in Palo Alto as a member of the Stanford Cardinal. Why did you choose Stanford over other colleges?
Yeah, so I mean, I was choosing between, really it got down to Stanford or ASU, but it was, I mean, I had 15, 20 other options, but really for me it was, the academics and athletics, and my mama wanted me to go there. So a lot of times mama say,
So pressure.
Oh,
A
yeah.
little bit of, but good pressure because
Great pressure.
I would
I
do
mean-
the same thing. Stanford is amazing, right?
Yes.
They call it Harvard West sometimes. And was the academic aspect of it tough for you? How did you manage? Because people always talk about the Stanford football players. How did you manage to juggle the school workload with the football workload?
Yeah, so I mean, they always say the hardest part's getting in because you got to take like 2 AP classes your junior and senior year. You got to do, all that. But for me, it was just trying to figure out time management, understanding where I put my time, invest myself. And in the end, it really wasn't, I mean, it was hard. It was, a grind, balancing both, but it wasn't anything that, no one else can achieve there.
There's some pretty good high school football in the Santa Clarita Valley, but there's probably an ocean of difference between high school football that's really high level to Division I college football. What was the toughest part about the transition for
The
you?
toughest part, I mean, the size and speed. I mean, that's the immediate part that hits me. Is just, it's just that much faster. You got to be able to react and believe in yourself, and it's also getting used to that stage. It's just a different atmosphere, and you just sort of gotta, like I said, believe in yourself through and throughout.
At Hart High School in the Santa Clarita Valley, you had 285 career catches for 5,268 yards. But who's counting? But is that still a California state record?
I don't know. I think
You don't
they
know.
were both at one point, but I haven't kept up 100%. No one's told me.
When was his first catch again? December 27, 2020, his first NFL catch.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. We'll remember that for you then. How's that?
Appreciate
We appreciate the humility. My high school coach once told me when I was playing high school football that you will never forget some of these games and moments at the high school level. I remember to this day losing to my rival, which was Antelope Valley High School. I played at Quartz Hill High School.
Yeah.
And I remember beating Hart High School 41-0 when I was a junior. I had a pick and go, 55 yards, to the end zone. I thought I was all that. The next year against Hart out here, they burned me for 2 touchdowns. And I remember, my coach coming to me at halftime and saying, "Listen, I know you're better than this. I support you fully. Turn this thing around." And I remember almost knocking my own teeth out, hitting guys after, on the other team, trying to make tackles and stuff. I'll never forget some of those plays. And I know that was high school, and there's been a lot of years for me anyway between my high school football days and now. You've had a college career. Now you're in the NFL. Are there still moments at Hart High School that you have the memory that you wake up at night and go, "Oh, my gosh"?
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think high school is one of the most pure forms of football because you're really just out there with your boys. You ain't got anyone else coming in, have to worry about trades, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You're just out there with your boys that you've been, grinding with all summer, and it's pretty pure, Those relationships are things that you'll, have for life. One of my best friends, Brady White, having played with him for 4 years there. Mm-hmm. But there's plenty of memories that I've had, actually on this field while I have my camp this Saturday, but it should be amazing.
The football camp, which is going to take place at College of the Canyons, that's going to be tomorrow, and we're going to get into all the specifics of that. We know him as Trenton Irwin, the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver and former Hart High School football star. But did you know that he could have easily wound up with a career in Hollywood? More with Trenton when we come back. You're listening to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to KHTS. I'm Rick Garcia along with Trenton Irwin, who plays football for the Cincinnati Bengals, a Santa Clarita guy who played at Hart High School, later on went to Stanford, is hosting an NFL camp. Well, it's a camp for kids, but it involves NFL folks, right? And we're going to talk more about it throughout the program, but when is it and who can participate?
Yeah, so it's this Saturday, March 5th. It's 11 to 2:30. And it's 5th to 8th graders. So.
And where?
It's at COC.
Okay, College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita. For those of us, we have people listening all over the world. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, they have these things now. They're called apps.
Oh yeah.
And like streaming. We were talking about streaming
Oh
earlier.
yeah. Little old soul. I
I'm
guess,
talking to the young guy here, who's apparently an old soul. And so it'll be at COC, and proceeds. So the kids in the camp get to participate for free, right?
Yes, 100%.
And then folks want to come watch. they can pay $5, and that goes to a charity, right?
Yep, going to Family Promise, and it's just for kids without homes, trying to give them education and places, shelters and all that.
That is awesome. We're going to get more into that in a moment. For folks who haven't seen you outside of your helmet, I'll describe you, even though I know we're on Facebook and YouTube Live as well, so if you can get a visual picture there. But Trenton, he's got the surfer good looks. He's got the shoulder-length hair. Kind of look like you could be an artist or a model as much as a football player. Makes sense because you were an actor as a kid, correct?
Correct.
Right? In fact, we have proof. Let's play that, Pat.
This is great.
Thank you.
Good.
When you add Velveeta and Rotel tomatoes and green chilies to chicken and pasta, it's so good, it'll blow them away.
Man, that's good.
Man, that's good.
Velveeta and Rotel.
Man, that's good.
Trenton Irwin, ladies and gentlemen, on the Velveeta ad. Do you remember your line in that?
Oh, 100%.
What-
Man,
let's hear
that's
it.
good.
That's it?
Man, that's good. That was it. 100%. I had to say that so many times.
Did you?
Oh,
How
yeah.
many takes?
I mean, we did it all day. We probably did it for like 3-4 hours. So, I mean, it was, they had a spit bucket for me. So, like, they didn't want me to get too full.
Yeah, because you're right. Because people don't realize when you're acting, sometimes you do drink or eat the food, and then the rest of the time you're, I guess, faking it a little bit. But what do you do with the food if you don't want to keep
Right.
eating,
We had a spit bucket right there.
Just
Just
spit it
for,
out.
Yep.
Wow. How did the acting thing come about?
So my dad was an actor, actually. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my whole family. He did a lot of commercials and stuff. So my whole family just got involved there, and we would go on auditions with him, and everyone, that was sort of our little contribution going out, and actually helped pay for some of our house with that.
Did it?
Yeah.
So is that a fallback path for you, a career path for you?
I don't. So I actually stopped acting ever since.
You retired.
I retired my freshman year in high school because I missed the first quarter of my first game because I was actually shooting a commercial.
You're kidding
I
me.
missed-
How did that go over with the team?
Yeah, so he held me out the first quarter because I missed a practice because I got a commercial. So that was sort of the end of it for me. I was like, well, looks like I gotta just stick with football.
I love that discipline. I mean, that must have took a lot for the coach. Was this your freshman year then?
This was
or-
my freshman
okay.
year, yeah.
And it affected you, right? In a way that you made a decision as to what was more important in your life.
It
at that time.
definitely did. And I mean, that was my first game, so I didn't even know if I was going to start and this and that. So it was one of those things that it was a big message.
We talked a little bit about what it was like being at Stanford, and what do you remember most about the college level?
I mean, it was humbling. It was humbling. I remember being in class, and I'd sit in class, and Katie Ledecky would be on one side of me. She's got like 8 gold medals. And then my other side, there was this guy who was, I think he was number 2 in the chemistry Olympics, which I didn't know existed.
Chemistry Olympics?
Yeah, there was something like that coming out of high school or something. So it was just the diversity of people who were unique and there for their own reason was pretty humbling.
What you experienced this last season with the Bengals, some guys they'll spend 15 years in the league and never get to do what you did in terms of playoffs, winding up in a Super Bowl. Do you kind of wake up some days and say, man, I don't know how this happened?
I thought you were gonna hit me with man. That's good. No, I mean it is surreal, and it's sitting in a little bit, and just I mean the camaraderie, the atmosphere that was created at the Bengals this last year was unique, and I think you talk to anyone on that team, and it was that atmosphere and that belief in each other along the way that was, I mean, unique in any team or experience that I've been a part of there.
There's a lot of talk about this Joe Burrow guy.
Yeah.
And early comparisons already to Tom Brady. I mean, that's kind of tough to do to a guy, right? That's a lot of pressure. You get to catch balls from this guy. What is he the real deal? Yeah.
I think everyone sees he's a real deal,
Yeah.
and I get to catch balls from him, and for sure, I mean, the comparison in itself is, you live and you be yourself there. I think that's just part of the way he does what he does. But, I mean, he's elite in the sense that he just plays and be able to feel out situations and just, I mean, I think he runs through plays and situations in his head over and over so that when he gets there, it's natural.
So he's got the smarts too, is what you're saying.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't just throw a good ball. By the way, we're talking to Trenton Irwin, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals and a former Hart High School star and also a Stanford Cardinal. Is there a difference in how quarterbacks throw the football? So you have Burrow throwing it, and is Brandon Allen still one of your quarterbacks?
Yes, yeah. Brandon Allen is there.
So is there a distinct difference between the way the ball comes out from quarterbacks?
There's definitely like I don't know what you would call it. There's a difference, and it feels different too. So you can tell like different touch, different velocity, different. There's a difference. Both of them are very great quarterbacks and have their own, features that make them elite. But it is a different, and I think I could honestly feel the difference if I was not even looking at the quarterback
Really?
throwing.
So if
Yeah.
you were blindfolded and you caught a ball, you would know which quarterback threw you the football.
I might have trouble catching a ball blindfolded, but yes, hypothetically speaking, yeah.
Wow. So every football team, they like to refer to the room. So it could be the receiving room, the running backs room, the quarterback room. In the receiving room with you and that means it's a room where you guys hold your meetings, you look at film, your specific coaches for your position go over specifics of whatever the game plan is, or let's correct some issues. In the receiving room with you, more great comparisons to the greatest receiver of all time, Jerry Rice, is Jamar Chase, your teammate.
Yep.
What about this guy?
I mean, that guy's a baller. He came in. He's special in the sense that he's super versatile. He can do everything. He can run routes. He can catch deep balls, go up for balls, and then his yards after catch this year, as everyone saw, is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. So I mean, him as a kid too, he's a good dude. He's very humble. He's very proud and able to do what he needs to do, but he doesn't express that in every fashion. So I think he's just a good person overall. I remember actually, I always hate getting my blood taken, so I was getting my blood taken. And he was sitting next to me, and he could tell I was just not liking it.
Yeah.
So he started chit-chatting, trying to get my mind off it. And then afterwards I was done. He was like, I was just chit-chatting, trying to get
Distract you.
Yeah, I was like, all right, I appreciate that.
I like that. That's
Little
great.
things.
That's very cool. And then that's what a teammate does. That's how, right? That's how you guys kind of have each
100%.
other's back, right? Let's go over to the other sideline. So there you are, Super Bowl 56. It's every boy's dream to wind up in the Super Bowl. And as you look across the field, you get a chance to watch a guy who had one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever, Cooper Kupp. He's the most valuable player of Super Bowl 56. What are your thoughts as you're watching this guy do his thing? I
mean, he's special. He's special in the sense that he just makes plays. Whatever area he needs to make, whatever play it is that he needs to make, he makes them. So that's a dangerous situation. I was actually surprised he had the throw that he missed, and that's I guess obviously not his forte. But when they drove down there in the end, I mean it was tough to watch just that offense move there.
And that back shoulder play, which and again I played a little bit of football, loved the quarterback position. There's no such thing as the back shoulder throw. Decades ago, that means you had made a bad throw. And now these guys are throwing it where the defensive backs are not, and then your job is to turn around 360 if you have to find the football, right?
100%.
And that was the game-winning touchdown for him. Now, it should be pointed out, Cooper Kupp, you guys are same statistics. He's 6'2", like the low 200s. Yeah. You're about 6'2", 204, I think is where you're listed at game playing. That's good size for a wide receiver. Folks don't realize that. The comments I've heard about Cooper is, I didn't realize he was so big. Some defensive backs, when they hit him, will say, I didn't realize he was so big. You combine that with speed and good hands, that can be a nice little career.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already got a hell of a career.
Well, I was talking about you.
Oh, yeah, me too, for sure.
I'm like, hey, he can do it. I can. And in that same game, you had a chance to witness the guy who may be the greatest defensive player in football today and will go down as one of the greatest of all time, Aaron Donald, which he had I know that's got to be some bitter taste for you, as he had almost the game-winning sack at the end of the game. But I know you can still marvel as a fan of the sport. What were your thoughts watching that guy?
Nah, he's special. He's special. I mean, it was one of those things. It was the game-winning play. It was 4th and 1, He got in there. I don't know if you want to call it a sack. The ball was released, but he had the play, and I feel like he just sort of took over. He's that type of guy that has the ability to take over, and got to that 4th and 1 situation. He decided to.
We're talking to Trenton Irwin, a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, former Hart High School star. He's here to talk about his NFL camp, which he'll have for kids in the Santa Clarita Valley. You don't have to be part of the Santa Clarita Valley. You can drive over the hill or and get out here and participate. It's at College of the Canyons tomorrow. We're going to tell you more about that and how you can participate in a moment. There was a little controversy coming out of the Super Bowl as to whether the wide receiver deserved the MVP over the defensive lineman, the two folks that we just talked about, Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. Who did you think the MVP was of the Super Bowl?
I would have gone with Cooper Kupp still. Yeah. I mean, I think Aaron Donald is a dominant, individual, and game planning for him is tough because he's just special in many ways. But I think, if you look at performances in the Super Bowl there, I think Cooper Kupp took that one just with the game-winning touchdown. I think Von Miller also had a couple sacks, so it was sort of hard to balance that out. So I'm with their decision there.
It's a tough call. Growing up in Santa Clarita, we always talked about if there was a guy you knew that wound up in Major League Baseball, you were convinced that he grew up with a batting cage in his backyard. Did you have what are the machines again that throw you the football?
Jugs machine.
Jugs machine. Did you have a jugs machine?
We did not have a jugs
No?
machine. No,
Okay.
my dad and I would always go to camps. Went to thousands of camps, quarterback camps, receiver camps, whatever have it. I also had this little apparatus that you could connect to a fence, and it had like a little bungee cord and a football on the end, so you could throw it and it would come back to you. And so I did that quite a bit, messing around.
That is cool.
I've tried so many things. You could talk about tennis balls. We tried juggling. It's just a plethora of things that we've tried.
Because you wanted to get better, basically,
100%.
right? We're chatting with Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver and former Hart High School star Trenton Irwin. Coming up, we're going to tell you how you can participate in Trenton's football camp tomorrow at College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita. You're listening to 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to KHTS. I'm Rick Garcia, and so I've heard that music 3 times now, and it sounds like a band. I don't think you guys pulled it from a band. Our guest, Trenton Irwin of the Cincinnati Bengals, who do you think that band sounds like? I'm going to give you a chance to. This is really old school. If you get this right, I will buy you lunch.
Okay, looks like I'm not getting lunch today, so I don't know what to say.
You're not supposed to eat anyway, are you? You guys don't eat, do you? Sound like 38 Special is what that sounds like, a music bed from the band 38. You guys, you young people in this studio are going to have to look that up.
38
They have
Special.
Google for that.
Okay.
It's kind of like a country rock is the way I would describe it. Trenton Irwin is now back home. He's putting his good fortune to great use by giving back to the community that was so good to him. Tell us about the Trenton Irwin Football Camp at College of the Canyons in Santa Clarita tomorrow, March 5th.
Yeah, so like you said, March 5th, Saturday at COC, 11 to 2, 2:30. I'm just trying to give back in any way I can, but really I'm just trying to bring an atmosphere of, I have a lot of great coaches coming. Just trying to bring an atmosphere that is conducive to, whether learning life lessons or just having a good time. It's free for the kids. They'll get camp T-shirts that, I've invested there for that. We'll have like snacks and some food to go, and it should be a great time.
So 5th grade, I think you said, through 8th grade.
Yes.
What kind of drills go on at a football camp?
So I've been to every football camp you can think of growing up. But for this one, I'm just trying to blend just developing skills, also developing like some athletic agility, speed. And in the end, we're just going to have like a little competition. We have a little, we'll go a tug of war, a flag pulling thing, and an obstacle course to try to balance out size and speed in a competition that'll just hopefully have some fun with it.
And I'm assuming that it's always without pads. This is
Definitely without pads.
And tell me, how do you improve speed?
How do you improve speed? So I think, you talk about technique, you talk about angles and how you produce force. That is mostly the thing we can do in that sense of a one-day camp. But, knowledge of what you need to improve on, whether it be hand strength, quad strength, calf, whatever, mobility. And then, just trying to get the best guidance for coaching for their future if they, choose to take that path.
And who are some of the fellows who are going to be helping you out?
So we have quite a few coaches. We have about 20 coaches. Some of them local Santa Clarita people as well. Brady White, who went to Memphis, went to Arizona State, now in the USFL. And then Tim White, who was at the Ravens for a bit, also played with me in high school. And there's Matthew Hatchett, played I think 7 years in the league as a receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, and then there's another 10 or so on the list.
Is it fun participating in a camp? And I don't mean as from a kid's point of view, but for the coaches.
I think it will be. Yeah. I think that's part of my goal. Is these people are a lot of the people that help develop me in the coaching world, but also just as a group to have fun. So hopefully we can provide that same type of energy to go out there and just have a good time with the kids and just teach life lessons along the way.
Tell us how we can sign up again for the camp.
So
information.
The camp, we have on my Instagram there's a bio. In my bio there's a link that you can click on right now there are 200 kids signed up for the camp
Wow.
there. Yeah.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
It should be.
And folks who want to watch, they pay an admission fee of $5, and again, that goes to the
Family
charity.
Promise,
Yeah,
yep.
Family Promise, which is wonderful. And they can look you up on Instagram and then click on the link. That'll take them right to the registration for the camp. So growing up, as by the way, first of all, I was thinking to myself, did you ever imagine a football camp when you were a kid growing up with your name on it? Did you ever think one day these kids are going to be coming to see me?
I definitely did not imagine that, and I'm very blessed to be in that situation where that amount of kids would come and have a good time, and hopefully, in the sense I can give back to them too, and the just the people that they get to meet, the opportunity and life lessons, and just a fun free day for the kids to experience football, and just hopefully the energy that the group brings.
Who are the guys that you looked up to when you were a kid playing? Who's your favorite player?
Who was my favorite player growing up? I think the easy one would be like Jerry Rice or something. But I think Randy Moss was one of those players that I watched, and just his ability on the field to just make plays, explosiveness. And always they talk about late hands is the thing that I've also learned that is like just the ability to really, in simple terms, to act like the ball's not coming and then react last minute. And he was one of those guys who sort of was a staple for that for me.
Sometimes wide receivers have a reputation. The diva of every team. There's a guy on a lot of teams who can sometimes be the diva, and it tends to be a wide receiver. Why is that? I won't mention names, but anybody who's ever watched the NFL, that you've seen guys storm off the field. We saw that this season. A guy walk off the field during the game, and it's not the first time we've seen it. Why the wide receiver position?
So I got a theory. I think it's one of the positions where you don't have as much control over your outcome, because if they don't throw you the ball, you can't do anything. You're running back and you're going to get some handoffs. Offensive line, you got a guy to go against. DBs, if the guy doesn't catch a ball on you, that's a good day. If they didn't throw it your way, that's a great day. It means you were guarding him. But as a receiver, if you don't get the love, you don't get the balls thrown your way, you don't produce, it doesn't feel like a great day. So you sort of, it's like that squeaky wheel gets the oil or whatever. You're trying to get that attention to try to make a play, and you got to keep that belief throughout
And they do. The squeaky wheel does get the grease. It certainly can disrupt the team sometimes. And some guys turn over a new leaf, like Odell Beckham Jr., who had some issues in New York and Cleveland. He comes to the Rams, and he's just been, and it's a shame he got hurt in the Super Bowl, because he looked like he might have been on his way to the MVP in that game.
Definitely so. I think there's definitely fits, how people fit in each system and each team, and there's an identity that they create along the way there. So that was cool to see Odell really find a new place for him.
Trenton Irwin is with us. He's here to talk about life in the NFL, but also the Trenton Irwin Football Camp, which is at College of the Canyons tomorrow, March 5th. Proceeds for those. By the way, the kids get to play for free. They get to participate for free, which is amazing. If you want to watch and see some former NFL dudes showing these kids how to play, it's only $5, and the proceeds will go to charity. And you can go to Trenton's Instagram page to sign up for that. You've had a chance to kind of analyze guys. By the way, you brought up something I thought was really interesting, is quarterback throwing you the ball. Some quarterbacks have been accused of playing favorites. I always, if I was playing quarterback, I wouldn't care who could, as long as they catch the ball. I would.
Yeah.
I'm not picking Trenton over you. What's your name again?
Patrick,
Thank
come
you.
on, Rick.
I wouldn't pick you over Patrick necessarily. I'm just going to go to the open guy, right? Is there any truth to the idea that some quarterbacks favor some receivers? Do you buy that?
I totally buy that.
You do?
Yes,
Really?
I think they do. That's it's third down. It's an important play where you gotta make it happen, and it's a trust and communication to be able to throw the ball in the right spot and believe that he'll come up with it. You can favor him, and there's times that when you get the right look, that's your guy you're going to.
Yeah.
But there's also times when, he's doubled, you have to believe in the other guy. And that's where football is the ultimate team sport, because, if the offensive line doesn't block well, he's not going to be able to get that off. If quarterback doesn't trust that guy, or they don't read the same way, the ball is air throw, so it's an ultimate team sport there. But I do think there's a bias.
There's a little bias now. The fact that Matthew Stafford, the Rams quarterback, and Cooper Kupp have breakfast every morning, they say, before they go to the office, which is the practice field. So there's something maybe to the fact that maybe Cooper gets a lot more passes.
Oh, for sure. The same with Tom and Edelman. It's a relationship. It's a belief in each other, and if you're producing, you're producing.
Yeah.
That's the end of the day. What matters there for.
You need to get Joe out to a couple of movies or
Yeah, I
something,
guess
right?
so. You're saying I need to go to movies a lot. This is one of those
You
things.
haven't been going to movies. I told you should go to more movies, and that will. You've had a chance now to firsthand witness guys on the field. That's a far cry from sitting at home in my living room. I can tell you who I think is great and who isn't great, and it really doesn't mean anything. But when you get on the field, when I covered sports and I would be on the sideline, it's a little different. You can really kind of see which guys are really at a whole nother level. Since you've had a chance to firsthand see it in the NFL, who are the guys that impress you the most right now? And it doesn't matter any position.
Yeah. Size-wise, my first time seeing Calais Campbell, who was a D tackle, who was at Jacksonville when I first saw him. He was just a freak. Like he didn't look real. He looked like a dinosaur out there. So like for me that was like holy smokes. Like this is it. As impressed, in person, Devontae Adams was just. I mean, he tore us up, and we played all week. So like, I didn't know if I was gonna play or not, or what was the situation. And so I was scout team. I was in Devontae Adams. So we had a lot of things up designed to stop him. A lot of double teams, a lot of this and that. And he went for like 203 versus us. Wow. And he's just special. I don't really know if you can put a certain trait on it because he's not super big, not super fast, but he's just like an artist out there. He's just Peyton.
Green Bay Packers wide receiver who Aaron Rodgers loves. We talk about a favorite receiver. That's allegedly his favorite receiver. You talk about scout team. What is that? And what's the purpose of what the guys have to do on the
scout team, you're running their plays. You're running they scout up their plays, and you're running their plays against the defense, and defense is trying to give
their plays, meaning your opponent that week.
Opponent that we're
so
playing
you
that
have
week.
to, if you're on the scout team, you have to pretend like you're Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers in that given week, right?
And we'll wear jerseys like like a little practice jersey that has a 17 on it or whatever to represent that, so that they know, okay, we're doubling in this 3rd and 7 situation to try to help out there. So like, in the practices, a lot of 3rd down situations, we were doubling and stuff. So it was sort of like, okay, I don't know how he's going to do because we're trying to help him out because he's an elite receiver, and he still went for like 203, which I was just like, man, I didn't like the practice looks I was getting when I was messing around with that spot, and I don't know what he was doing.
You can see how he managed to. So those are two guys that impress you. What quarterback stands out? Have you had a chance to see Brady?
In preseason, we saw him a little bit this year.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to really see him in action like
not
that.
Firsthand. Yeah. Anybody else quarterback-wise that you said, man, this guy's?
Patrick Mahomes is special in the sense.
He is, isn't he?
He can throw the ball anywhere, like at any position. Yeah. He's super special. I think, and obviously on our team, Joe Burrow making some throws out there that I just, I don't even the creativity in him.
Yeah.
I don't even quite understand him.
How did the Chiefs not beat you guys? What happened?
It was looking.
You guys
ugly
did this twice, right, in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
What?
It was looking ugly. It was looking ugly, but I mean, I think it was a belief. I don't think anyone ever lost belief. Even in that atmosphere, in that situation, that the culture on the team was pretty special, and we just took it play by play, making each play to try to see if we could turn things around, and it ended up coming the right way.
It was, sometimes you can think about teams who were destined to get somewhere. It felt like the Bengals, this was a year they were destined to get to the Super Bowl.
Very much
with
so.
comeback wins and things like that. We're talking to Trenton Irwin. He's a wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. Also played his high school football at Hart High School here in the Santa Clarita Valley, and he's going to be hosting the Trenton Irwin Football Camp at College of the Canyons, which is tomorrow. And proceeds, for those who were watching in attendance, will go to a local charity, but also for the players who participate, they get to participate for free, and you can find more information on Trenton's Instagram page. Do you like to block?
I like to block?
That's the new important thing for a wide receiver.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's vital. I mean, it's every little piece working together. That's why I keep saying it's the ultimate team sport. Do I like to? Like, I'm not assigned to block. That is like my job is to catch and then block. But I would not say I'm over here like super passionate. Like, I can't wait for this. You know.
Who's the biggest guy you've had to block?
Biggest guy I've had to block. So there's some DNs you got to crack down on.
Yeah,
Luckily,
big dudes.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know specifically like big name DNs like that, but I mean, you're sitting there and you're about a yard from them, and you got to block them, and usually he knows you got to block him. Like he can feel it. So it's sort of like an acting job. You'd be like looking away, acting like you're not going to get him. And then
And
you
he
just
knows.
got to try to get under the armpit and just, drive him a little bit that way.
And I bring it up because wide receivers, you think of them, if you're not a big football fan, their job is to go out and catch a football when it's thrown to them. But I know that you heard it a lot in terms of the Rams, and your coach Zach Taylor's comes off of the Sean McVay coaching tree. They like their wide receivers to block, and it's not something you grow up doing, is it?
Oh, no, it's totally not. But also a lot of times we'll block like safeties that are coming down in the box. And on the flip side, cornerbacks don't want to tackle either. You got a running back, Joe Mixon on a 185-pound cornerback.
Yeah.
Science, physics, all of that ain't going to work out for him. So, that's part of the game, too. It's like, okay, let me go block this safety who's more used to tackling and let Joe Mixon get a one-on-one with a corner.
You just told us something we didn't know, that football players can be scared sometimes. Is that what you said?
Football players definitely can. I think it's on all sides. But,
Yeah.
I mean, you're not shying from that. That's just what it is.
What's your favorite part about practice? Some people don't like practicing. Do you enjoy practice or not?
I most definitely do. I think it's a time to just fine-tune your craft, fine-tune your, whatever you're making. It's, I like the off-season, too, in that sense that you go, okay, bam, I had the whole season. And now the off-season is these things that I think I wasn't quite good enough at and I need to improve. So then I just sort of plan my off-season accordingly to try to fine-tune whatever it is that will make me a better receiver. And I think that's like 95% of the game because you only get to play so many games. You gotta enjoy the practice or else you're not going to, be able to achieve what you want to on game day.
And I'll have you elaborate on, for any young kid that's listening right now who's had the same dreams that you had of one day playing in the NFL. What's your advice? I mean, because you mentioned something already. Hey, I'm going to get better by figuring stuff out in practice.
Yeah.
Some people they don't. Just, hey, I want to play in the game and that's it.
Right.
What do you think as a young person helped you get to where you are today? If you were to look back at the young guy.
So it was definitely my dad. My dad was there for everything. But as a mentality, it was just sort of no one was going to outwork me. That was just my day to day. No one was going to go outwork me. You don't get to see who's working. Because that's just sort of, now with social media, you see a little bit more of it, but a lot of that is for show. And if it's for show, it's a little bit inauthentic, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think anyone was going to outwork me. So whether it be a lot of my craft was, quickness at the line, moves, or whatever, catching the ball, situational running routes, being able to just, develop your craft along the way. And, I think there's a plethora of things. And it's one of my sayings is like a shadow chaser. Is the idea that you're chasing perfection, but perfection is not really a thing that's attainable in my opinion because to be perfect means that you'd have to be able to rewind time and change it as you go. So it's not attainable, but you'll like where you get by chasing it day after day.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, did you make the right career decision? Hang on, let's play that one more time, Patrick.
This is great.
Thank you.
Good.
When you add Velveeta and Rotel tomatoes and green chilies to chicken and pasta, it's so good, it'll blow them away.
Man, that's good.
Man, that's good.
Velveeta and Rotel.
Man, that's good.
I don't know, Trenton. I mean, I'm thinking, sure, you were in the Super Bowl, whatever, Super Bowl 56, big deal. The Oscars are later this month. Did you ever think that maybe you could head in that direction?
I did not. Honestly, acting was a good way to make me less shy, but I don't think it was a field that I had a huge future on. I'm glad I chose football.
You're glad you made that decision to not. So now, as a professional athlete, those things come up, commercials.
They
right?
definitely do.
I know.
Yeah,
So
that might come full circle.
it might happen for you, right? But you don't miss it, is what you're saying.
I don't really miss it.
You had fun though.
I had fun.
Yeah.
They were fun. It was
Yeah.
it was a great experience, and a lot of memories there.
All right. Tell us one more time, real quickly, about the camp tomorrow, College of the Canyons.
Yeah, so 5th to 8th grade. It's tomorrow, Saturday, COC from 11 to 2:30. And, I'm just trying to provide an experience for the kids, bringing out some of my favorite coaches to just bring that energy and an atmosphere that is hopefully conducive to learning life lessons, but also just learning football and having a great day.
Trenton Irwin, our guest, Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver, Hart High School Indian. By the way, Stanford They were used to be the Indians, right?
Amen.
And then they changed it over to the Cardinals. So you had that transition there. We don't have any more Indians in the NFL, though, right?
No, we don't.
Yeah, probably. Okay. So listen, great to see you. It's a pleasure meeting you, and thanks so much for what you're doing for the community as well. We appreciate that.
I appreciate you having me here.
All right.